part, and maybe Mr. Bremseth can tell us. But
yeah, maybe he can. I've been part of that process for some time, Tom, and it's Mr. Chair, it's definitely a big, beautiful building, but it has been beat up, run down. But again, Mr. Bremseth can give you an idea what the current plan is. There's been many plans, and they haven't worked out.
Yeah, thank you, Senator Ingebrigtsen, Mr. Chair. The city owns the property, and we have since 2007, 2008 timeframe. And thanks to this committee and to the legislature, we've had a few appropriations so we could reduce some of the size of that property. It was over 600,000 square feet. And so for a market the size of Fergus Falls, that's a significant building. And we've had a lot of struggles trying to find a developer to take that on and to fill that space. And so we've removed just over about 200,000 square feet and continue to look for redevelopment opportunities. And it's been a struggle, and we're going to continue to work hard at it, but appreciate the state's support in the past, and we'll keep trying.
Yeah, I remember working with Senator Goggin on that, trying to figure out that in the early days of trying to figure out what was going to happen to that. So, well, I'm glad to hear we haven't torn it all down. It's a magnificent building.
Yeah, just a little history myself. When I was an adolescent looking to go into law enforcement, I rode down with my father, who was the sheriff at the time, to Fergus Falls with a person that was going to the alcohol facility there. And I remember walking into that place, and it was just massive. I've never, coming from northwestern Minnesota, I'd never been anything that big. So it just sticks out in my memory as a castle. I mean, it's built like a castle, and it would be unfortunate if we'd have to destroy it totally.
Well, thank you, Mr. Bremseth. Chair lays over Senate File 1105 for inclusion in the committee bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And so, members, the next bill is a Westrom bill, and I think Senator Ingebrigtsen is going to present it for us. Senate File 1790.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Senate File 1790. I'm more than happy to take Senator Westrom's bill. He was tied up with a family member. He did agree, however, to turn the $17 million over to Senate District 8, which I thought was quite nice. So I think that's the amendment that I will add to it.
Well, Senator Ingebrigtsen, my volume was going in and out. Did you say Senate District 3?
Well, yeah, 3 put together. They turn into 8. So
2 3s. Okay.
He would love to know that. We should really have a little fun with that. But no, seriously, Senate File 1790 is a flood hazard mitigation bill that was appropriated $17 million, and just a very minor fix on page 2 from line, I believe it's 223 and 222, changing the mitigation from the Toelle Coulee in the city of Browns Valley. Instead, they want to put in Traverse County. So I believe Senator Westrom has a testifier here that could testify real quick to this bill.
Yes, thank you, committee chair and members. My name is Amber Deshatis. I am the district administrator at the Upper Minnesota River Watershed District. Just Welcome. As Senator Ingebrigtsen had explained, the appropriation was originally to the city of Browns Valley. The minor word change to Traverse County will allow for us to extend our project the full portion of the coulee, which does stretch just outside of the city limits.
But it's the same project.
Correct.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Chair lays over Senate File 1790 for inclusion in the committee bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members.
Number 6 on the agenda is not a bill. You see, it's a Senate Council document, Senate Council 8634. Senator Newman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, this is something that kind of snuck up on me. I wasn't even aware of it until yesterday. I can tell you, Mr. Chairman, that this morning I did sign the bill on it, and it will be dropped today. So we will have a Senate file number on it. This involves small city in the southern end of my district called Henderson. And it's a small city that's right down in the Minnesota River Valley. And Henderson has historically had flooding in the spring of the year, and that's kind of normal. But in recent years, and I frankly think it's because of all the pattern drainage that is going on agricultural lands, the city of Henderson has had sustained ongoing flooding throughout the summer. And it is literally threatening the economic livelihood of that small town. So this is a bill for flood mitigation that was put together, and staff, that was last year, and staff has indicated to me that we have to add some corrective language or some additional language so that this project can move forward. And you will find the language that we are requesting be included is environmental analysis, pre-design, design, and engineering. So at least in my mind, this is an additional language, is in reality a technical corrective fix so that they can begin working on this project.
Senator Newman, is Henderson the city I've seen aerial photos of the news on when it floods, where it gets cut off, kind of cut off from the world?
That is correct, Mr. Chairman. When the flooding really gets bad, there's 4 roads into that small town, and when the flooding really gets bad, 3 out of 4 are cut off, and the only way out is Highway 19 to the west. Oddly enough, the critical services in terms of public safety, fire, all of that type of thing, all of those services are to the east. So it in reality is in addition to all the other problems, it really is a public safety problem for that city.
Sure.
Well, the aerial views of it when the flooding is really at its peak is very pronounced. It just looks like a little island sitting in the middle of the river.
Right. No, I can remember seeing it on the Twin City News, actually.
Yeah.
Well, Senator Newman, we can't move this bill because we don't have a bill number yet. So but we'll certainly get it incorporated in the committee bill when we get something put together. So.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll make sure that once the bill is assigned to your committee, I'll make sure that your staff has the bill number.
Well, we'll get on top of it. Thank you, Senator Newman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members.
Senator Rest has Senate File 46.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My bill deals with a project in Golden Valley that, again, are technical corrections to language that was passed not only in the regular session, but also in the corrections bill that we passed, the Senate passed in December, that unanimously that the House did not take up. And I want to thank Senator Pappas and our staff, Craig Zanusich, for keeping tabs on this project and for helping me with it. It does deal with a pedestrian underpass at the intersection of Highway 55 and Douglas Drive in Golden Valley, and has will greatly increase the safety, the public safety issues with regard to students and others that need to cross Highway 55, which is like 5 or 6 lanes of traffic from one side to the other. It's very straightforward. It's similar to the other projects that needed correction language with regard to design engineering, environmental analysis, permanent easements, rights of way that were suggested to us not only by the Department of Transportation, but also by MMB and Bond Council to make it able to go forward. Mr. Jeff Oliver is here from the city of Golden Valley if there are any questions, but it's pretty straightforward, Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate your support.
Thank you, Senator Rest. Mr. Oliver, anything to add? It is the same project, right, Mr. Oliver?
Mr. Chair, that is correct. It's the same project. Senator Rest did a great job explaining what the project is, and I'll answer questions if you have any.
Members have anything? If not, Chair leaves over Senate File 46 for inclusion in the committee's bill.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Senator Rest. Have a good weekend. Now we have Senator Newton's got a same situation as Senator Newman had. We don't actually have a Senate file. So we got the Senate Council document 8636. So Senator Newton, we're up in Anoka County. What are we doing up there?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And actually, I did get the jackets this morning for this bill. As a preface, I want to thank Ms. Giroux for her patience and knowledge in assisting me with this bill. Last year, the Capital Investments Committee provided a $1.5 million grant to Anoka County for the final design of a grade separation in Blaine at 109th Avenue and Trunk Highway 65. And because this grade separation is going to have a major impact on several closely located intersections on Central Avenue between 93rd and 117th, MMB, MnDOT, and the City of Blaine had determined there needs to be a technical correction to the bill to first complete an environmental analysis along the local roadway intersections. There are 6 intersections in that area, and they're going to be affected by this bridge. So that's essentially what it is. I didn't ask the city engineer to come on because I think it's straightforward. It's we have the funding to do the design of the bridge, but it's going to impact several other intersections on the highway.
Sure. Very good. Do you have anybody, Senator Newton, that wants to testify or not?
No, I don't have any testify.
Yeah, I don't. It doesn't seem necessary. So, Senator Newton, we can't lay it over because we don't actually have a bill file. So we'll wait for that and get it included in the committee's bill when we get the Senate.
Okay, and we'll get that to you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Thanks for coming in. Senate File 2035, Senator Port.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members. Hi, thanks for having us here to talk about this bill. This is a project that was passed in the last bonding bill. It just has some technical language modifications to make sure that the money is going to the right place and accessible by MnDOT. It changes, takes out Scott County as the recipient, so it will go directly to MnDOT, so the county doesn't have to pay it up front and then get the money back. And it also adds a portion about public utilities, that it can be used to move public utilities so that there's a sewer system that needs to be shifted over as part of it. And so that this could be used as part of that, those funds as well. I do have Lisa from the city on if folks have technical questions, but it's just a language fix to make sure the money's going to the right place.
Okay, anybody from the city or the county want to testify?
Committee members, Chair, thank you for the opportunity for us to be able to get this technical correction done. We really appreciate that.
Name for the record, please.
Lisa Fries, Scott County Transportation Services.
Very good, thank you.
Sorry about that. I think Senator Port did an excellent job of explaining what the corrections do. We've worked closely with the Office of Management and Budget to figure out these technical corrections along with MnDOT. And so this should enable the project to move smoothly. It should move into construction in 2022. So it's important to get this corrected this year.
Very good. Senator Porter, anything further?
I appreciate your consideration.
Okay, thank you, Senator Port. Chair leaves over Senate File 2035 for inclusion in the committee bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Senator Dietzig. We're moving on to housing.
How are you doing today?
Well, nothing's gone wrong and it's 2:30, so that's a pretty good day.
All right.
Senator Dietzig, do we, Senate File 170, correct?
Yep.
Tell us what we're trying to do there.
So good afternoon, chairs. Good to see everybody. So in 2019, we required issuers to use bond allocations from the housing pool within 180 days. Again, that was 2019. So, we didn't know COVID was coming. So when COVID hit, several projects scrambled to meet that 180-day deadline before the country shut down in March. And so we believe all those that scrambled met the deadline, except one project in my district. Some of those projects may have been further down the road in the process when everything shut down. So this bill is dealing with a historic property rehab project in my district. The complex is home to many seniors living in Social Security and other low-income individuals. It was originally built for Little Sisters of the Poor in 1895. They served seniors for over 80 years. The building was sold in the 70s or 80s and updated, but it kept low-income and moderate housing. This bill would allow Hennepin County and Common Bond to get the remainder of their application fee refunded and accredited so that they don't have a financing gap. We've all heard about the housing crisis, especially the low-income housing. And so when Common Bond bought this and needs to do some updates and upgrades, they were moving along the process. It's a complicated process because it involves low-income housing tax credit and it's historic property. And so you had HUD and you had SHPO involved. And so when everything shut down, they shut down and then that delayed the process. And so we've had several variations of the bill due to the technical and legal issues. And this language was worked on with MMB and Minnesota Housing Finance. And then with me today is Ms. Cecile Bedore from Common Bond. And she can explain the situation in a little more detail. And then Mr. Spencer Agnew is with Hennepin County, who is the issuer, to also answer any questions. So if we could go to them.
Okay, who would you like to start with first? Does it matter?
Probably Ms. Bedore.
Okay, very good.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, committee members, and Senator Dietzig. Again, my name is Cecile Bedore. I'm the Executive Vice President of Real Estate for Common Bond Communities, nonprofit affordable housing developer, property manager, and service provider based in St. Paul, and celebrating our 50th anniversary of service this year. Just by a little bit of background, we serve over 10,000 people, including, for example, seniors, families, and vets in both Greater Min and the metro area, operating about 8,000 units in 57 cities, including, for example, Sunrise Manor in Sleepy Eye, Wilder Square in St. Paul, The Willows, which is a new property that we just opened in Shakopee, Minnesota. Again, we have been working really hard to secure the funding that we needed for this project that Senator Dietzig summarized. We purchased the property in September of 2019 and have secured significant funding that leverages private dollars with significant private capital. Those sources include federal and state historic tax credits, 4% federal low-income housing tax credits, Hennepin County funds, City of Minneapolis funds, a deferred mortgage from Minnesota Housing, brownfield grants from the Met Council at City of Minneapolis, a markup to market on the HUD Section 8 contract, and last but not least, an amortizing mortgage, first mortgage. So as you can imagine, utilization of these various financing tools requires a great deal of coordination among the various regulatory agencies, in particular, the City of Minneapolis, the State Historic Preservation Office, the National Park Service, and HUD. And all the work with those key agencies was set to begin in early March, right when COVID hit. And as you know, Common Bond together with the state are two agencies that had to figure out how to get their staff the tools they needed to work remotely. And in turn, staff had to figure out how to professionally function in a remote environment. So for example, Minneapolis Plan Review had to review over 200 pages of construction plans, which slowed down an already busy business area. And we didn't receive their approval until August. HUD halted their on-site unit inspections, which remained required to complete the markup to market on the Section 8 contract. And in addition, we needed final approval of both our Part 1 and Part 2 for the historic tax credits, first by the State Historic Office and then by the National Park Service. And they had to be done, they had to be sequential rather. And because of COVID, both entities, like several others, completely changed their processes and systems, which resulted in backlogs and delays. As Senator Dietzig mentioned, other developers with less complicated deals who were not subject to all these entities' participation were able to get to closing. We did not give up. Since that time, we now have received all of our required historic approvals as well as approvals from the city of Minneapolis, and we're set to reapply for bonds in July with the closing targeted for September. However, if we don't receive a credit for the first bond fee and have to pay it again, we'll have a nearly $300,000 gap. As you know, the bond statute from 2019 requires that all bonds be issued within 180 days of the date of allocation. When it became evident that the delays that I described are going to make it impossible to close on the bonds for Stonehouse by the deadline, we requested immediately that the bonds be returned to MMB, which they were, and those bonds were subsequently redeployed to other projects on the waiting list so that our return bonding authority was not lost. To the best of my knowledge, Common Bond has never returned financing like tax credits or bonds as we did for Stonehouse in our 50 years of existence. We have a really well-earned reputation for submitting quality applications, closing on our wards and completing our projects on time and on budget. For example, we had 6 projects under construction during COVID, and although one had to briefly shut down during COVID, we nevertheless completed all 6 projects on time and on budget. So in summary, I want to assure you that we are committed to preserving Stonehouse as affordable housing in perpetuity. We just don't have more room to cut costs to make up for a deficit caused by these a potential double bond fee payment. So I hope, Mr. Chair and committee members, that you recognize the work we've done, trust we're prepared to move forward on this important project, and if you grant our request, and hopefully not penalize Common Bond nor this project for events that unfortunately we just couldn't control. So again, we really appreciate your time and consideration, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the work that you're doing.
Thanks.
Is Mr. Agnew with us?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Thank you. Spencer Agnew with Hennepin County Housing Finance. I really don't have much to add. I think Ms. Bedore covered all the details well. Just wanted to indicate our willingness and support for Common Bond to hopefully get this project done, and confirm that if this action did move forward, it'd be our intent to basically receive that refunded MMB fee, then pay it right back to MMB, working with Common Bond to reapply for bonding to get the project done this summer and hopefully get it under construction quickly thereafter. So thank you, Mr. Chair, and for senators for considering this.
Thank you, Senator Dietzig. Anything to close?
No, I just thank you for your consideration. The language in the bill doesn't guarantee that they will get the application. They still have to apply going forward in 2021. And we all know the housing shortage, and this is housing preservation for a lot of low-income people in an area where in a lot of new apartments, the rents are $1,400 to $2,000 for a 1-bedroom. So this is rent stability and housing stability for a lot of people in that building. So thank you for your consideration.
Well, thank you, Senator Dietzig. Chair lays over Senate File 170 for inclusion in the committee's bill. Thank you, Senator Dietzig. Members, we've got one more. I think we're going to see this a second time. Again, we don't have a bill document. The Senate Council tracking number on it is 8637. It's a project up in St. Cloud at the corrections facility. And I believe we have somebody and I believe this is included in the governor's bill. So I think you're going to get a second look at it when we go through the governor's bill. But do we have somebody from corrections on the Zoom?
Yes, Chair. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members. My name is Safia Khan, and I am the Government Relations Director for the Minnesota Department of Corrections. I'm grateful for your time today, for allowing me to speak to the importance of this modification language. The language before you today is related to our St. Cloud facility's fire suppression system. It is purely technical in nature and simply fixes a drafting error contained in the appropriation from last year. Mistakenly, the appropriation language last year appropriated money for fire suppression systems for living units A, B, and C at our St. Cloud facility rather than units D and E. You have an aerial photo of the living units in your packets that shows the close proximity of these living units. The St. Cloud Fire Marshal has been requiring that these living units have fire suppression systems for several years now. You had funded the fire suppression systems for living units A, B, and C previously, and those projects were recently completed in December of 2020. Fire suppression system in living units D and E will essentially be the second phase of this work required by the fire marshal. And really quickly, as you might know, St. Cloud is our intake facility for men. That's where everybody first goes when they get committed to the Commissioner of Corrections. Our facility is 130 years old, and has a capacity of 1,058 people. Living units D and E that we are talking about today house 416 people between the two of them. Mr. Chair and members, during the pandemic, St. Cloud has really needed all of its capacity so we can quarantine all individuals coming in for 2 weeks upon intake, conduct the required testing before they can be released into the general population. Unfortunately, at this very moment, we actually have an outbreak going on in St. Cloud, which is why our warden couldn't be here to testify before you today. So they really need this project completed so they can use all of our space very safely. As you know, fire suppression systems are a life safety issue for both the residents as well as our staff. So we are definitely eager to get to work on this. We really appreciate your consideration, and I can answer any questions that you may have.
Members have any questions? Okay, thank you. Thank you for joining us. Again, because we don't have a bill number, we'll just have to, we'll get this included in the committee's bill, hopefully in the next week or two here. Okay, thank you for joining us. Members, that concludes the work that we had for today. Anybody have any comments? Senator Jasinski.
Thanks, Chair Bach. So one of my questions, I guess, a little bit frustration. You know, I've been on the bonding committee for 5 years, and it seems like we're getting more and more technical problems or fixes, and it's taking longer to get those fixed. And I don't know if it's MnDOT and as far as the road projects or MMB, but you know, we had a big technical fix with Highway 14 a couple years. It causes a lot of frustrations within our districts and our communities of this project gets done and all of a sudden it gets held back. So is it, do you know, or maybe Senator Senjum can comment, and maybe it's not any one thing, but it seems we're seeing more and more of these technical glitches that hold projects up. And it's very frustrating, either if it's a wastewater treatment plant or a highway or anything we've seen today. What do we do in the future, or where do we check to make sure this isn't happening more and more? As again, I've been on here 5 years, and this is the most technical corrections we've had to do in any 1 year. So whoever wants to answer it, but it just seems frustrating what more and more we're seeing. And I know we do a lot of work and our staff does that, but it's just seeing an increased number of these technical corrections that cause a lot of frustrations with us as legislators in our districts.
Thank you, Senator Jasinski. Do we have anybody from MMB on that could talk about bond counsel, and if they change some criteria, or if not, maybe the Senate Council can tell us if something, the circumstances have changed, or why we've come to this situation? No, maybe not. Senator Pappas?
Senator Bach, this is Laura Lane from MMB.
Okay.
I believe Assistant Commissioner Hasmer was supposed to be on. It doesn't seem like she is, but we're happy to kind of investigate that question and then come back with a response to you in the committee.
Sure. I mean, if bond council's made some changes that the wordage has to be absolutely perfect before the bonds can be issued, I think it'd be helpful if we knew that. Some of these things come together pretty late in the game and late at night, and so if we have to be a little bit more careful about words, I guess adding a word or we'll have to. But I guess it would be helpful to know if something has changed in the way these projects are reviewed by MMB and bond council.
And Mr. Chair, if I might interject, this is Jennifer Hassemer, Assistant Commissioner at MMB. I was able to join your call today, so I can provide a little information to answer this question for the committee. This is actually, we see corrections just about with every bill. It is not an uncommon feature. Nothing has changed regarding bond council's review of the language. I would think that the large number of projects that you're seeing come before you from the 2020 bill is due in large part by the sheer size of last year's bill and the number of local projects that were included in the bill. We've always advised grantees that it's very important to get your language correct and to accurately describe all of the project components that you intend to have financed by the state, because it's very important to list all of those components in order to access the state funding. So we always work with our local units of government that come through MMB's process every 2 years, just to make sure that the language can be drafted correctly up front.
I think Senator Council wants to weigh in. Stephanie James.
Mr. Chair and members, I'll just note that I was also curious about how many there were this time. And so I looked at our bill in 2011 and looked at how many changes there were from the 2010 bill in the subsequent years. And there's about the same number as a percentage of the total number of local projects in 2011 as there are now. It's just that the bill is so much bigger, so there are so many more of them.
Okay. Thank you. Senator Pappas, you have anything to add on this? You've been around the bonding committee a long time.
Mr. Chairman, yeah, I can add something, but I also wanted to make some comments as well, if I could combine.
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you. I think that the way we've been putting bonding bills together, often, quickly with maybe not enough staff and stakeholders present, could have contributed to that as well. But after I heard what Ms. James said, then I'm not so sure I'm right. But I do think that the more we can do things publicly with the staff from the House and the Senate MMB as part of it, and the local project people, the more we're going to have more accurate bills. Then, Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to add a couple of comments. We had a conversation earlier about your wanting to emphasize kind of our state buildings, our HEPR, and our asset preservation. So I just wanted to mention that to the whole committee, because I think that could be a really important thing to do. I've always been interested in doing that during the odd year, so that we don't, it's hard when there's a lot of competition with local projects. Those are kind of the fun, exciting things to do, but the asset preservation of what, kind of preserving what we already have and taking care of what we already have is very important. So those buildings don't disintegrate to a point where they have to be replaced instead of just repaired. So that's something I wanted to mention. Basically, I wanted to thank Senator Bach for his willingness to move the bonding bill this year, because I do think that continually funding to meet our needs and keeping our construction industry employed so that they're working and staying in Minnesota, I think is a real important thing. We did see during the recession over 10 years ago that a lot of people left the trades because there wasn't any work for them. And then when we tried to ramp up, because we needed to meet all these construction needs, we ran into a shortage of workers. So it really goes to show how these things are very interconnected. I wanted to mention something about COVID related. I don't know if the federal money is going to have any requirements around that, but I think that we need to be aware of what are some things that we could use that money on that's COVID related. And I do think emergency housing could be one of those needs. I'm especially concerned that when we do lift the moratorium, which we will have to do, that we will be pushing more people into homelessness, and that will be throughout the state. And to be not only to be continuing to build affordable housing with housing infrastructure bonds, of course, that's the long-term goal, and promoting home ownership, but we may just need emergency shelters. And then finally, Mr. Chairman, I do hope that the Senate committee will look very carefully at the equity projects that are included. The money's included in the governor's bill, and the House has included a number of equity cash projects. And that, of course, involves us getting cash. With all the one-time money we have, you think that that should be a priority for us to spend cash on some of these bonding projects. And it's become very difficult for nonprofits to find a government owner that's willing to take on the kind of responsibility of doing that, and all the technical issues with the bond market and MMB and the lease arrangements with the nonprofits. It's become a lot more difficult to do. And so to be able to use some cash to assist these nonprofits, especially these equity projects that have been doing such an excellent job and serving their community, I think is very important. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Pappas, I think those are good points. I had a lobbyist that represents one of the first-class cities call me last week, and we talked about all the one-time money coming, especially to our first-class cities. Places like Duluth and Minneapolis and St. Paul are really getting large sums of federal money. And I've been told, at least, I haven't seen it in writing, there's not a lot of strings attached to that money going to the cities and counties. So I do think that there's going to be a tremendous opportunity for cities to be able to get some things done for nonprofits if those city councils choose to prioritize that. I mean, they're large sums of money. I believe in, I took a look at Duluth because that's part of Duluth is in my district, and city of Duluth is getting like $60 million. You know, it's not that big a city. And then the county on top of it's getting another 54 million. So, I mean, they're large amounts of money. And I believe Minneapolis's number was like 281 million. And I don't know what the levy is in St. Paul, but somebody told me that St. Paul got more money than their entire city levy. 171 million, I believe. So I do hope that the cities take a look at some of these nonprofits and housing issues with this one-time influx of federal money. But it's going to be very hard for the state to take on additional debt. You know, these appropriation bonds, because they still have general fund supported debt. So, you know, we got money around, but it's almost all one-time money. So I'm hoping.
Well, the state's also getting a big, large amount of money.
Right, and I'm going to do as good a job as I can once we see what the guidance is, working with the speaker and the majority leader to score as much of that as I can for this committee, because we certainly can do some work, and then without having to incur any general fund obligation. So I know that, as you know, Senator Pappas, all the spending committees that fund the state budget aren't real crazy about giving a lot of cash to the bonding committee. That's been a historical problem. But you know, on your comment about the process, in my earlier years, I remember we actually had conference committees over bonding bills. The House would pass a bill, the Senate would pass a bill, we'd go to conference. The bill always got a little bigger than either body had, but we had real committees. And then there was a real public forum to you know, to identify where there might be some wordsmithing issues. And it has totally deteriorated over the years, and bonding conference committees are almost unheard of. And I imagine we're not going to have one this year either. The Senate can't do it. The House has to send something. So until the House wants to restore that process of having conference committees, it's just not going to happen in the bonding area. But I've done everything I can to support the conference committee process, and I know you do. I wish our House colleagues would take that on for us, so that we could have a real process. And
I spent many wonderful hours as higher ed chair serving on the bonding conference committee, because usually a third of the bill was higher ed.
Sure.
So I always got to do that. And you're right, we had hours and hours of open meetings, and then sometimes to finally close the deal, you might have to go into a private meeting, but most of our work was done in public, which is a good thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So what the House has got their bill sitting in Ways and Means, they need to talk to the minority, I think, if they're to get it out of there and figure out what they can pass. So we'll try and entertain some conversations with them and expedite this as much as we can. And I think the Department of Treasury has till May 11th to give us the federal guidance on the federal money. Hopefully they won't wait that long. If they do wait that long, this is going to get a little difficult. But to your point, I think I said it last time we met, to the extent we could put a bill together that's largely around asset preservation, HEPRA, state agency things like at PFA, Department of Admin's got some stuff. DNR certainly got a lot of buildings that need asset work. And then we'll have more room for members stuff next year for what I hope will be a larger bill. So, any committee members, anything else? Senator Wiger.
Yes, thanks, Mr. Chair. You mentioned there's going to be a couple of meetings in the near future. Tentative date, time?
Well, we're still trying to, because the conference committee schedules are just kind of put together. We're trying to figure out how our members fit into all the different conference committees that they're on. But my hope is to have 2 next week, and we'll try steer away from conference committees unless we got conference committees with, you know, none of our members on it. But I'd like to have a chance for everybody to participate if we can. But we're going to, one way or another, we're going to have a couple next week. And if we can't include everybody, then that's just kind of, we're stuck with that schedule. And this committee has just had that problem for a long time, especially this year when we didn't get assigned a room and a regular time. because you remember Senator Gazelka decided to make the committees smaller and more of them. And when it turned out we didn't have enough rooms at that point. And I think the intent was well, you know, we try to meet in person, put somebody in every other chair at a committee table. Well, it never really developed that way, but we just ran out of rooms in committee slots because there were so many committees. So we're kind of stuck where we are, but we'll definitely plan on twice next week. And if ever, we'll do the best we can to accommodate calendars as they all mesh together. So anybody, anything else? If not, thank you, members. Have a great weekend. This committee is adjourned.